Thank you, Mike and Chris, Jim, everybody for turning out here. It's fantastic. Jim was mentioning we met up at Mackinac. I think that was in September. So in September I hadn't decided to run. I want you guys to just think right now in your mind that if in 1 year you thought you might be running for Congress, standing up on a corner or running up and down a parade route or being on TV or putting on ads or being on the radio. And 1 year ago that's where I was. Wasn't something I'd really planned on, you know. Yeah. So let me just give a little background on me. Live up in the Ann Arbor area. My wife is here over there. She's a doc also. I'm an interventional cardiologist up in Ann Arbor area. We've got a large business there that I helped get going, about 300 employees or so, about 30 doctors. So I'm pretty familiar with the whole idea about running a business and that kind of stuff. But I grew up in a small town. Coming to Monroe makes me think of where I grew up, Greenville, Michigan. Had a big river going through it, about 30 miles from Grand Rapids. And, great small town place, one high school in town. You go there, and that's what you do, and you participate in everything in the town. So that's kind of how I grew up. My dad was real involved, though he was a dentist, was super involved in education, started a community college, was president of the school board for about 30 years. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of those issues. But went off to the University of Michigan, went there to undergrad med school, and been back in Ann Arbor after training out of town. So I've been back in Ann Arbor for about 30 years. And here I am. I just thought, man, what's going on now is insane. It's time to take Congress back from the career politicians and the career lobbyists and return it back to the average citizens who believe in something, who think that we have a contract with America already. It was signed in the late 1780s by 12 states, actually. That's a little one for you. Only 12 states signed the original agreement on the Constitution. It wasn't unanimous. Rhode Island didn't sign on until much later. But anyway, it's amazing to think what the Founding Fathers gave us the framework to work with, how hard they worked and how carefully they picked their words and the whole situation that went on with the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist Papers and all that sort of thing. And to think, I've often said, if the energy crisis would be solved if the Founding Fathers knew what was going on, because they'd be spinning so fast in their grave, all we'd have to do is hook up wires to them. Just crazy. And that's what's going on with career politicians. And I've had people ask me, well, how can we trust that you will go to Washington and you won't go back and just start doing all the crazy things that people do in Washington or in politics? And that's simple. I've got a job. I've got a career. My job is not to be a career politician. Career politicians, their success is measured in one way and one way only, and that's on election day. Are they reelected or not? And when your success is measured every few years and whether or not you're reelected, what do you think you'll do to make sure you're reelected? Anything. You will do anything. You will say anything. You will do anything to be reelected, because that's not a surprise. What happened in those states was exactly what I would have expected to happen from the people that I heard every day in the office. And, of course, this is a district that has tended to vote Democrat in the past, but I'll tell you the other thing I hear in the office. People in Monroe are conservative when it comes to the idea. Even the people who vote Democrat in Monroe, historically, they're conservative folks. They believe in hard work. They believe in taking care of their neighbors and their family and participating in the community. And so they're ready for someone who's, like me, who's not. I'm not out to campaign against Obama, even though I don't agree with his views. I'm after Congressman John Dingell, the longest-serving congressman in the history of the United States. How about you guys? Yeah. In fact, when I went to Washington, D.C. and started meeting with the NRCC about running for office, and I'll tell you what, while I haven't been involved in partisan politics, I'll tell you right now, the Republicans have some young lions who are people that we can count on. People like Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy, Eric Cantor, Mike Rogers, these kind of guys. These are the rising stars of Washington who understand where they came from, who understand the basic principles of the Constitution and our founding fathers, and having the rule of law rather than the rule of judges. And so it's just fantastic. And I'll tell you, they said, hey, why don't you run in this district over here? And I said, no way, man. I said, this is the biggest sacrifice enough for me, stepping away from my practice of 25 years to do this. I only want to run against John Dingell, the longest-serving congressman, because I want this to be a national race. I want this the doctor against Dingell. Let's make this a national referendum on health care. And some of you might have heard me on Armed American Radio. I don't know if you heard that. That's a great show. You can get it streaming live on the internet. But, and here I'm a lifetime NRA member, and I'll tell you right now, flat out, the NRA will endorse John Dingell. Right? The NRA. While they've done their job in the past, they're just part of the Washington crowd now. They're just another big lobby group who's looking out for themselves and getting their laws passed, and that's why lobbyists support the career politicians. They just got them in their pocket. They don't want to, they're afraid of people like me. They don't want somebody coming in there who has his own ideas. I don't need lobby. So I just want to thank everyone else for their support. August 3rd is critical. We got to get through the primary. There's no question. I'm the only candidate that can even remotely challenge Dingle. There's some honorable people in the campaign, the primary campaign against me, and they're great folks. It's fantastic, and Dingle's trying to help them. Dingle's dying for one of those guys to win somehow, because they don't want to have their record represented to the people and have people find out that he's just another left coast Pelosi support 98% I agree with Pelosi voter, and people in Monroe don't agree with Nancy Pelosi. There's just no question about it. So we appreciate everybody's support. August 3rd, you got to get out there and vote. Take your friends with you. November 2nd, it's going to be fun. I can tell you that the word is out in D.C. and all over the district. Dingle is worried about you guys. He is worried about the normal people who are finally waking up to say, we have a choice. We're going to go ahead and send a career citizen to the House instead of a career politician. It's time to send a doctor to the House. Thank you very much.